Welcome to Random But Memorable, a podcast from 1Password. I'm Rue, head of password manager development.
I'm Matt Davey, 1Password's Chief Experience Officer.
I'm Sarah, one of the founders at 1Password.
I'm Anna, the producer behind the show.
And we're the hosts behind Random But Memorable. Together, we offer up bi-weekly security advice, interview special guests from the cybersecurity community, and round up the latest security news in Watchtower Weekly. Plus, we may even play a silly security game or two. So sit back and enjoy the show.
We could talk about Eurovision.
I'm not sure Rue has watched Eurovision.
I don't watch Eurovision. I tried once, and I was like, wow, I culturally just don't get this. So.
Me and Anna had a Eurovision party. I didn't massively enjoy it this year, just because a lot of the songs were exactly the same.
They were.
And I feel like other years, it hasn't been that bad.
Yeah, they all kind of meshed into one after a while, I feel. Apart from the one about coffee. What's it? Espresso Macchiato. That was the standout song.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I like the ones that don't take themselves too seriously.
Yes.
I like the Swedish sauna song. That was pretty good. The
sauna.
I can't remember where it was from. Where was the Espresso Macchiato song from?
Is it like Estonia or something?
Yeah, that's pretty good. That one was good.
I think the only reason we enjoyed it was because we brought snacks from our countries that we'd chosen in the sweepstake. So we had themed snacks, and that made it better.
I made Swedish meatballs.
Yeah, Matt made Swedish meatballs.
That's great.
I brought Portuguese pastries, custard pastries.
We had some Belgian beers.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, it was all going on.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I can see we're deeply engaging you today.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. It's just... sorry. This one's not grabbing me.
All right. So, before we jump into Watchtower, we should mention the guest on today's show, as I recently sat down with Abe Ankumah. Abe joined 1Password as Chief Product Officer not too long ago, and we wanted to catch up with him and hear all about his vision for our products and the wider security industry. We deep dive into all things AI and how 1Password can approach the new opportunities and challenges that comes with these new technologies. So definitely stay tuned for that one.
Wonderful. And we shouldn't get into Watchtower Weekly just yet, because we can't not talk about the fact that the next episode will be our 150th episode. Matt, Anna, can you believe it?
No.
No, I actually can't. Even though I edited every single one of them, I still can't believe we're at.
So hang on. How long have we been doing this for?
Since late 2018.
Since late 2018.
Oh my
You two
God.
chuckleheads sat behind a microphone and recorded your first ever episode.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, it's wild.
Wow. And as we head towards our last ever episode, the 150th,
We're going to call it quits there, are we?
with that in mind, we're pulling out all the stops for our 150th episode special, and we want to get you, that's right, you, our wonderful listeners, involved. So this episode, we're launching a brand new giveaway that will take place during our 150th special. We're giving you the chance to win some retro 1Password swag, and there will be not one, not two, but 15 winners for the big
Jesus.
150. All 15 winners will win some retro 1Password swag bags, and one lucky winner will also win 1 year of 1Password for free. To enter the giveaway, all you need to do is record an audio voice note for us to play on the 150th special. Keep it short, keep it classy. 2 minutes is plenty. And share either a brief reason why you love listening to Random But Memorable, how 1Password has helped you in your personal or professional life, your favorite 1Password tip that you'd love folks to know about. So pick one or two of those, whichever you fancy sharing. The winning voice notes will appear in our 150th episode, and we'll be in touch via email to arrange your prizes. Please send your voice notes to podcast@1password.com by 12 a.m. Eastern on the 28th of May. You can include your name or remain anonymous, and full terms and conditions can be found in the show notes for today's episode.
Okay, so shall we jump into the 149th edition of Watchtower Weekly? This is our longest running segment of the show, where we chat about some of the latest cybersecurity news and maybe even rank some hacker group names out of 10. So the first story we're going to talk about today is from The Verge, which is neurotech companies are selling your brain data. So senators are sounding the alarm over brain-computer interface technologies, or BCIs, and their ability to collect as well as potentially sell our neural data. In a letter to the Federal Trade Commission, 3 senators called for an investigation into neurotechnology companies handling user data and for tighter regulations on their data sharing policies. The letter specified, unlike other personal data, neural data captured directly from the human brain can reveal mental health conditions, emotional states, cognitive patterns, even when anonymized. And this information is not only deeply personal, it is also strategically sensitive. While the concept of neural technologies may conjure up images of like brain implants, like Neuralink, there are less invasive and less regulated neurotech products on the market, including headsets that can help people meditate and promise to help users with online dating by helping them swipe through apps based on instinctive reaction. These consumer products gobble up insights about users' neurological data since they aren't categorized as medical devices. The companies behind them aren't barred from sharing that data with third parties either. Anna, did you want to take us through some more about the senators' concerns?
Sure. So one of the senators spoke on the matter, saying that neural data is the most private, personal and powerful information we have, and no company should be allowed to harvest it without transparency, ironclad consent and strict guardrails. Yet companies are collecting it with vague policies and zero transparency. Their letter to the FTC cited a 2024 report by the Neuro Rights Foundation, which found that most neurotech companies not only have few safeguards on user data, but also have the ability to share sensitive information with third parties. The report looked at the data policies of 30 consumer-facing BCI companies and found that all but one appeared to have access to users' neural data and provide no meaningful limitations to this access. The companies in the survey also make it difficult for users to opt out of having their neurological data shared with third parties, which is pretty surprising, I think.
Yes. Stephen Damanos, the executive director of Neuro Rights Foundation, said that HIPAA may not have entirely caught up to existing neurotechnologies, especially with regards to informed consent requirements. I think informed consent is a wild statement in terms of put this thing on your head, it's going to absorb some stuff, and then, like, you know, how are you supposed to really understand what this thing is doing?
Yeah.
So data collection becomes even trickier for wellness neurotechnology products, which don't have to comply with HIPAA, even when they advertise themselves as helping with mental health conditions like depression and anxiety. Damanos says there's a very hazy grey area between medical devices and wellness devices. He continued, there's this increasingly growing class of devices that are marketed for health and wellness as a distinct separation from medical applications, but there can be a lot of overlap between those applications. He concluded, there are long-established and validated models for consent from the medical world, but I think there's work to be done around understanding the extent to which informed consent is sufficient when it comes to neurotechnology. The analogy I like to give is, if you were going through my apartment, I would know what you would and wouldn't find in my apartment because I have a sense of exactly what's in there. But brain scans are overbroad, meaning that they collect more data than what is required for the purpose of operating a device. It's extremely hard, if not impossible, to communicate to the consumer or a patient exactly what can today and in the future be decoded from this neural data. That's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
It's things like this, and it's things like 23andMe, the genetic testing company, going bankrupt and all of their data being up for sale. Like this, the type of information about us that is now out in the ether is not great. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel very safe.
I mean, very true. I think there was a hack yesterday, as of time of recording, from the UK legal care system. So like a bunch of criminal records, a bunch of health records also have all been stolen. It's kind of impossible to know what is out there anymore.
I just find the fact that it's neural data is terrifying. Like, surely that is, like, the way your brain works and your thought patterns. That's, like, the most private and personal thing about you.
And they don't know, like, from the, you know, it can't be decoded now, but it might be in the future. Like, no one knows what that data is. Yeah, that makes the informed consent bit ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't want these companies to know, like, the weird things I think about.
I don't think it can record your thoughts, Anna. Well, we don't know, I guess.
Exactly. You don't know in the future.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, if there's part of this that can't be decoded yet,
Exactly. It's going to learn, like, your thought patterns, surely.
I think, like, I tend to think that all of that information where we think, like, oh my God, it knows my secret thoughts. And then people go on Instagram and search for that exact, secret thought. I think there's probably a lot more than that than people recognize. I did the thing where you go into Instagram settings and then download what it thinks about you the other day. Mm. It was not good. I did not enjoy it.
Wait, what?
So, Instagram obviously has a profile on you to build adverts and such, and you can go in to the settings and download the text, like keywords that it has about you.
Oh, no.
And that's like how it builds Explore and all of that kind of thing.
Oh, fascinating.
It's like hundreds of your hobbies, right?
Got it.
Yeah. Like all your interests.
So for you, it would definitely have like photographer in there and that type of thing.
That's likely, yes.
Yeah, terrifying. Okay, this next one. Tulsi Gabbard reused the same weak password on multiple accounts for years. So Tulsi Gabbard is the Director of National Intelligence, used the same easily crackable password for different online accounts over a period of years, according to leaked records reviewed by Wired. So following her participation in a Signal group chat, which sensitive details of military operations were unwittingly shared with a journalist, the revelation raises further questions about the security practices of the US spy chief. So Wired reviewed Gabbard's passwords using a database of materials leaked online, created by the open source intelligence firms District 4 Labs and Constellar Intelligence. Gabbard served in Congress from 2013 to 2021, during which time she sat on the Armed Services Committee, its subcommittee on intelligence and special operations, and the Foreign Affairs Committee, giving her access to incredibly sensitive material. Material from breaches shows that during a portion of this period, she used the same password across multiple email addresses and online accounts. Two collection of breached records reveal that her same password associated with her personal website she used with her Gmail account, Dropbox, and LinkedIn accounts. The password associated with all of the accounts in question included a word which appears to have personal significance to Gabbard. As Director of National Intelligence, Gabbard oversees 18 organizations comprising the US intelligence community, including the CIA, the NSA, and their budget of approximately $100 billion. By statute, she is the principal advisor to the President and the National Security Council on intelligence matters relating to the national security, and is charged with maintaining the security of much of the most sensitive information in the government. Okay, so most of these accounts were personal, right? Like it was Dropbox, it was Gmail. There's no way that this person reuses, passwords on the government side, right?
You're joking, right? Absolutely that. Okay. I would not be surprised.
It's 2025. Actually, stories about password reuse don't come up that often.
Yeah, I know. It would not surprise me to learn that someone was reusing passwords between government accounts and personal accounts.
Yeah, this is wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've tied up Watchtower Weekly, let's move over to my chat with Abe. As I mentioned at the top of the episode, Abe is the new Chief Product Officer at 1Password, and we got into a really fun chat about the buzzword of the moment, agentic AI, plus the future of this technology and how it will impact cybersecurity. So let's get into it. Sitting down with me today is Abe Ankumah. Abe has recently joined 1Password as Chief Product Officer and brings with him more than 20 years of experience spanning enterprise SaaS, cybersecurity, AI, working at both large-scale technologies companies and high-growth companies as well. So prior to joining 1Password, Abe served as Vice President and General Manager at VMware, overseeing the Velo Cloud business. He arrived at VMware through the acquisition of Nyansa, a pioneering AI ops startup that he co-founded and led as CEO. Abe, we work closely together, so I'm excited to get into your career journey and the buzzword of agentic AI as well, plus the future of AI and how it will impact cybersecurity. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
So your career spans many companies, including NASA's Jet Propulsion Labs. That's pretty cool. Networking startups, AI ops company that you co-founded before joining 1Password. Can you share a bit about your kind of that journey and what drew you to the world of technology, cybersecurity, and AI?
You bet, Matt. So, the first thing I would say is I'm a builder at heart. I've always been passionate about building and solving problems for customers. Now, what I've found is that the intersection of technology change often creates a unique time to tackle new challenges that are facing customers. At heart, I'm a technologist. I am driven and I thrive in marrying customer problems and challenges with technology capabilities that actually solves those problems at their core. Now, cybersecurity for me is one of those compelling applications of marrying technology with customer needs. There's always something happening and changing. With cybersecurity, there's always a set of new threats. There's a set of new risks that users, people, right, companies and businesses are exposed to. And as these new threats and changes emerge, there's always a need for a set of new compensating controls. Today, a lot of it is increasing with AI-driven attacks and deepfakes. And frankly, I'd say AI in so many ways is evolving the level of sophistication that things like ransomware and phishing attacks are happening. In 2024 alone, phishing attacks grew by 700%, right? And so that's one of those massive changes that's been happening in cybersecurity. And AI in so many ways can obviously be used as a force for good. But just like any enabling and key technology, it's also being co-opted to actually mix and create new sets of cybersecurity problems, right? Whether it's state-sponsored attacks, whether it's supply chain vulnerabilities, things of that nature.
That's absolutely a great kind of mission for yourself there. The ransomware thing in particular really interests me, and I have a laptop where I kind of like fiddle around with these things, and the ransomware as a service tools and stuff are growing like mad. You can just put a domain address in these days and it will generate you an entire campaign. It's kind of terrifying. There's always something changing in cybersecurity. You're absolutely right.
It is wild. And what I'd say is, AI has really taken us into uncharted territory. Right? It represents in so many ways a really massive tectonic shift. And it brings with it, obviously, good possibilities of things that we couldn't do before, whether it's in finding cures for diseases and things of that nature. But obviously, it's also being co-opted for nefarious means.
So what inspired you to join 1Password? Like, was there something about the mission or the roadmap that made you think, I want to be a part of this?
Joining 1Password for me really starts with the mission or the North Star of the company, right? Which is all around building a safer, simpler digital future for everyone, right? I've been a 1Password user for many years. I have seen firsthand what the 1Password product around password management has essentially done to my daily digital life. But frankly, when 1Password reached out, I almost didn't respond because I always thought about the company primarily as a password management company. But that completely changed when Jeff Shiner, our founding CEO, and I got to speak. And he shared more about his vision and strategy for the company, right? There was a whole movement, and there's been a whole movement afoot within 1Password of bringing the same principles that have made 1Password a household name, but bringing those same principles to protect businesses way beyond password management. And the whole concept is around what we call extended access management. And that's what really drew me in, right? Extended access management and its ability to not just secure individuals, but also businesses was something that really caught my attention. It's something that the market, frankly, has needed for many, many years. And that need is only getting exacerbated with AI. And so that was sort of at a very high level what got me to sit up and say, hey, there's something very unique going on at 1Password. I'm familiar with it from a password management standpoint, but the company's actually going way beyond that. Now, you know what? Vision or strategy is just that, right? There's a saying that says, execution eats strategy for breakfast, right? And so while the vision was really compelling, the mission spoke to me. I ended up joining in so many ways because of the team, right? As I got to know the team, spent a lot of time with Shiner Jeff, spent a lot of time with David Fagner, our co-CEO, spent a lot of time with Pedro, our CTO. And the more I got to know the team, the more I said, hey, these are the caliber of people that I want to go do my next major build with. 1Password is a unique business. We have a B2C business, but we also have a rapidly growing B2B business. And that's very unique to have in a company. And it's really exciting to be in this position where I get to play a very meaningful role in shaping the future of where we go.
So I'm going to shift gears a little bit. It's great hearing about that, but I want to hear about agentic AI. We've been hearing a lot about it recently. I think RSA was basically completely fixated on it. Can you briefly explain what AI agents even are?
Yeah, definitely RSA, this year, 2025, the theme was agents, agents, agents. Now, agentic AI ultimately refers to an artificial intelligence system that is designed to operate autonomously. And what that ultimately means is that it's actually capable of making decisions. It's capable of initiating actions and ultimately pursuing goals with a degree of independence and the ability to adapt. And that concept of an artificial intelligence software system actually being able to do that with the ability to be proactive and to be goal-oriented, to be able to plan, to be able to reason, to be able to interact in a very dynamic fashion, opens the door for so many possibilities. And that's what, in so many ways, encapsulates what agentic AI is all about.
And what are the security risks for people and organizations that are really using AI agents?
I'll say a couple of things. One is AI agents, just like any technology, and especially just like any new technology, have to be adapted and used in the right context, right? And so when it comes to security risks, it's important to understand what the agents can do, both by design or accidentally. And it can be accidental, or it can also, frankly, be for nefarious intent. And so from a security risk standpoint, having a sense and understanding of what the agent actually has access to, having a sense and understanding of what actions it can take, and what are the guardrails around those actions, the nature of agents, and for them to actually be able to do the types of planning, reasoning, and goal orientation means that they need access to data. They need access to take action. And so that might also mean that there are security risks that come up in terms of potential data leakage or unintended disclosure of information. Can the information that the agent gathers be used for social engineering and potentially phishing? Now, agents are technology, right? And so we've heard so much about LLMs hallucinating, and agents in so many ways under the hood are powered by LLM models. And so what happens with hallucination, and how does it actually manifest in terms of how the agent might actually try to achieve its goal, right? And so those are some of the security risks. But while I point out these security risks, the possibilities of what these agents can do in terms of unlocking capabilities is profound. If you think about sort of any new technology, when cars were being invented, there were risks with that, right? Accidents were a risk of cars being invented. And so while these security risks exist, the reality is that equally important is that we should also be thinking about the benefits they provide. And it's on the cybersecurity industry to actually move this forward by also providing the controls and the efficacy around them in order for users and businesses to adopt these agents in a very responsible fashion.
It sounds a lot like the kind of security-related challenges around new employees as well. I mean, obviously not the hallucination part, but that's a part of the AI's kind of decision-making. And I think, like any businesses, the challenge of individuals' decision-making when it comes to security.
100%. Sometimes I like to think about agents as, frankly, helpers or assistants to humans. And organizations have to think about onboarding agents just like how they want to think about onboarding employees. There's a certain code of conduct, right, that when you have employees in the company, you train them about. There's a certain set of expectations that you have in place for employees. And when you're employing a human or an individual, you interview them, you put them through a background check, and a similar concept really is something that I think is useful to think about in terms of adopting agents within businesses. Understanding if this is an agent that you are purchasing from a third party, doing that evaluation, doing that diligence, understanding sort of its behavior and the types of data it has access to, how the data is used, and so on and so forth, right? You wouldn't hire someone into your company just off the street without interviewing them and doing the requisite background information. And so that same mental model, frankly, is a very useful one to think about with agents. And then when you have an employee join a company and you're onboarding them, you decide what systems, given what role they're going to be playing inside the company, they should have access to and what level of access they should have. That same mental model, I think, is very applicable as we think about agents within the context of work.
So really, some of these are kind of like very traditional security frameworks that these things are operating within. How prepared do you think are those frameworks for the challenge of agentic AI? Like, do you think a business can just kind of, implement some of these agents for low-level tasks and have them automate certain things without changing huge things like policy or any of the other, elements of these frameworks of security?
Yeah, the first thing I'll say is we are still very much in the early innings of agentic AI. Now, even though I say we're in the early innings, the other thing that I would say is that the pace of change with AI is unlike anything I've seen in my career. Very early on in my career, I had a front row seat to the evolution of the internet. But the pace of AI is just unlike anything I've seen. It's just been so rapid and very, very dynamic. And so while we're still in the early phases, I think there are some general concepts, right, in terms of a business being prepared for AI that we can learn from other changes and the birth of other new capabilities, whether it was the internet or SaaS or the proliferation of more and more mobile devices and BYOD devices in businesses, right? So the first thing that I would say, even from a framework standpoint, is it all starts with understanding and visibility. At the end of the day, you cannot manage, you cannot control what you're not aware of or what you don't see. And so one of the first things that every business, even looking to adopt AI, and frankly, the way agentic AI will come into businesses will be multifold, right? Some will come in through sanctioned programs, right? Where the organization, the cybersecurity team, the IT teams, and the line of business work in tandem to bring in that capability. So agents will come into businesses that way. But increasingly so, agents will also come in, just like we've had shadow IT with SaaS, agents will come in and get adopted through line of business and individuals, in a lot of cases without the IT teams even being aware of them. And so in terms of organizations being prepared, it starts with being able to actually just take stock of your environment, what's happening, having unbridled visibility into your environment. Just like we've had concepts around being able to discover shadow IT, it's going to be important for organizations to be able to discover shadow AI. Now, in the case where these agents were brought in a very deterministic fashion, it's also going to be important for the organization to actually understand what the capabilities of these agents are, what they can access, and what guardrails exist for these agents, right? And so that's going to be another thing that will be important. Just like when companies are buying new software, you go through the process of trying to understand certain elements about them. We're going to have to sort of use a very similar mental model when it comes to bringing in agents within the enterprise. But the level of sophistication of these agents are obviously a lot higher. And so the types of things that we have to understand are a lot more. But ultimately, one of the things that's also going to be important is for these organizations to educate their teams and putting in the sensible guardrails, right? Just saying that, no, you cannot adopt agentic AI, frankly, isn't going to work. Your employees will work around it, right? They've done this every single time. When SaaS was becoming a thing, a lot of companies would say, nope, you're not allowed to use SaaS. And guess what? They did. They brought in Dropbox. They brought in other SaaS applications because they needed that to be productive. Similarly, when organizations were trying to grapple with BYOD, people were bringing in their own devices to do work. Some organizations said, no, you're not allowed to do that. Guess what? Employees and users found their way around it. And so simply saying no isn't the solution. Alternatively, sticking your head in the sand and pretending as if this is not happening isn't a solution either. And so it's all about actually being proactive, understanding what's happening, whether it's by having the right discussions with your line of business, whether it's by putting systems in place to discover the use of shadow AI, and then educating your teams about it.
That's such a great answer. Loved every minute of that. How is 1Password approaching these challenges?
Matt, I would say fundamentally, the way we think about agents and AI is anchored in our overarching mission, which is to build a simpler digital future for everyone. And agents can help with addressing that problem in terms of how we continue to evolve our own products. But AI, as we've talked about, can also obviously put that safety and making that digital future simple very much under threat, right? We talked about phishing and how real social engineering looks like these days, right? With the help of AI. And so we start with that mission at its core. And we are doing a number of things that we're using to address and support this mission as the whole world goes through this AI transition. And I'll describe them in sort of at a very high level, Matt, in three big buckets. The first is that what can we do and what are we doing to actually allow our customers and our users to securely and safely adopt AI, right? One of the unique things about 1Password is that our users trust us. We are a pretty massive credential store of how they interact with the digital world. And so one is actually, if I'm a business, if I'm an end user, and I'm actually adopting AI, and this agent needs access to my credentials, well, one of the things that we're doing is we are enabling agent builders to actually, through APIs and SDKs, integrate with 1Password in order to actually allow 1Password users to safely and securely delegate access to their credentials to these agents. And so that's one very tangible thing that we're doing in terms of allowing our users and customers more safely and securely adopt AI. There are a number of other things that we're doing there that we're rolling out in the coming months and quarters. The second pillar of how we're thinking and tackling AI is using AI capabilities for us to continue to build more delightful user experiences and enabling technologies within our set of products. Whether it's what we're doing with all of XAM, Extended Access Management, and within that, you can imagine us doing things there from a password management perspective. You can imagine us doing things there from a device trust perspective, as well as from an access governance perspective. And so we're using AI capabilities as part of the underlying technology foundation as we build and evolve our own products. But ultimately, as a team, we also want to adopt AI in terms of how we do work. And you'll hear me describe this as going AI native. How do we want to do things as a team, bringing AI techniques to bear that frankly makes our lives a lot simpler and a lot more effective? My wife and I, we've got 2 kids, and we see what our 14-year-old son and 12-year-old daughter are doing today with AI to make them a lot more productive. We can bring some very similar techniques in terms of, guess what? I have lots of documents to read. Can I just easily summarize that? Or I want to quickly prototype something. How do I do that in a product development or in a design fashion? And so from an AI standpoint, how we're adopting AI, one is using AI and securing AI on behalf of our users, right? And we're doing this in partnership with developers. We're doing this in partnership with providing a delegated way with human in the loop for those agentic applications to access credentials that a user would have in 1Password. That's one bucket. The second bucket is using AI within our own products to make our products more powerful, simpler, and even more intuitive. And then the third bucket, again, is as a team, becoming more and more AI literate and AI native.
I absolutely enjoy having it as a, what question haven't I asked? I wish it could be running and listening all the time, but I haven't quite gotten to confidence with that yet. But like, you know, plugging in a bunch of things like, hey, I wrote this entire document. What questions should I be asking? And what questions haven't I asked yet? That's just a great, you know, constant sounding board for me.
100%.
So as we look forward a few years, which I think in kind of AI is going to mean, you know, basically, you know, on the scale of like internet to no internet, it's going to be light years ahead. But a couple of years in AI, what do you think we'll be talking about then? Like, what are the new security challenges that you kind of anticipate we might be talking about and that we could even in technology or mindset that we should prepare for now?
Yes. So we're already seeing, and some very sensational ones, right? Security challenges, threats that have come with AI. And I'd say as things like agents become more and more mainstream, right, within businesses, these agents ultimately represent identities within those businesses. And so one very plausible set of security challenges is how to sort of think about managing these agentic identities within the construct of a business outcome. There's going to be a lot of benefits unleashed with them, but with some of these benefits will come the need to be vigilant in terms of addressing gaps that bad actors and threat actors will look to exploit, right? So I'd say identity and the exploitation of an agentic identity in particular will be one of those things that will be a challenge, especially because we'll get to the point where we will reach a critical mass within organizations where companies are embracing and adopting agents within every single vertical, right? I don't think agents would be the provenance of only one type of vertical or the provenance of only very large companies. I think agents, just like other software paradigms, will become fairly pervasive across every business. And identity abuse will be one of those things. And we're already seeing very early forms of that today, right? We're seeing the rise of deepfakes. We're seeing social engineering, which is driving phishing attacks. And I think those will only get more and more sophisticated. You can imagine that in the geopolitical climate that we are in today, that will also then get co-opted, if it already isn't, in terms of what is happening from a nation state behavior, as well as even, you know, compromising different supply chains, whether it's a software supply chains or other forms of supply chain.
I'm sure we will have you back on the show to talk about many things like that, and maybe even come on as the full host for an episode and we can discuss some of the news that comes out as well. That would be a lot of fun. But I think we are running out of time. If you could answer one more question before we go, if you could have AI automate one task in your life, probably something that you don't enjoy doing, what would it be? What would it take care of for you?
You know, my family and I enjoy traveling, right? We enjoy traveling. And then when we get to a destination, we're always trying to figure out what is unique and authentic to do in that location. Where's an awesome place to go and eat? And then how do we juggle a family of 4 with different interests, the different things we can do? And so how do we pack in as much as we can in that period of time? And so anything that I would love for an agent to be able to not just sort of give me vacation ideas, but frankly, have a history of the things that I went, this is interesting, I want to do it, but just haven't found the time to do it. I would love for an agent to be able to plan a trip for me, be able to curate a set of really unique experiences, and actually be able to, let's say, tell me, hey, you know what, you should spend these days in this city because there's a particular festival happening that would make sense for you to go to given your interests, and spend these other days in this other city because there's something else going there. And so I would say sort of that whole tedium of planning and correlating calendars for a very active family of 4 would be awesome.
That sounds great. My answer was going to be like ridiculously menial compared to that. Like that actually sounds like quite fun and advanced. Mine was just going to be like, I like cooking, but I hate shopping. Like, if it could chop for me, I think that would be great.
I'm sure that's coming too, Matt.
All right. Thank you so much, Abe, and I'm sure we'll see you on the show again.
No, thanks for having me, Matt. Cheers.
Okay, so that was Matt's chat with Abe, and if you enjoyed that interview or want to comment on anything that we've talked about on today's show, you can head on over to onepassword.community. There's a forum lounge for Random but Memorable where you can comment on every episode. We'll leave a link to that and everything else we've mentioned on today's show in the show notes. But with that, let's go on over to Ask One Password. This is where we like to answer your listener questions. We have Agony Aunt Roo back with us this week, so let's get right into today's question, which is from Kristen, who says, "Hey Roo, I'm writing into the show for the first time with the hope my question will get picked." Well, it did. Well done, Kristen. I installed 1Password for my kids a while back, but they still aren't using it consistently. Do you have any tips on how to encourage its use and how to help teens build good password habits? Thanks to all the Random but Memorable team for the hard work that you put into the podcast. I never skip an episode. Take care, Kristen.
Oh, that's very nice. I read that as 1Password for my kids was the product, and I was like, I can't remember releasing a 1Password for my kids. That sounds weird.
I don't remember us shipping that ever.
Oh, product idea.
Kristen, this is a great question. Thank you. The thing that I have found that has worked well for us is, first of all, to make sure that 1Password is installed on all of your kids' devices, which it sounds like it is. Make sure that they've got easy access to it, that they know how to get into it, right? You have to make sure that there's a password that they are able to use to get into their account. Set up some shared vaults with them and put the credentials for the different streaming services in there. And make sure that they are randomly generated. Like, obviously don't make it something that's repeated across all of the different services. Don't make it something that your kids can know. Make it something that they can only get access to by going through 1Password. And then when they ask you, hey, can I get the password for this thing? You can do one of two things. You can say, oh, it's in 1Password. You can pull it up there and find it there. Or you can go into your 1Password, into the shared vault where you have all the items that are shared with them, find the password that they are looking for, and you can copy a link to that item, and you can message them that link and say, yep, it's in 1Password, here's the link. And when they tap on it, it'll open the 1Password app on their device. They'll have to authenticate, and they'll be taken right to the thing that they're looking for. And that's a good sharing tip in general if you've got someone with whom you're sharing accounts. This will give them access to the item directly, and it will reinforce that the only way they can actually get in is to use this app that you've put on their device. The other thing that you could do, which I think is maybe a little nefarious, but you could still decide to do so, you could go and change all of the passwords on all of the services that they use, and you could force a sign out on every device and make them sign back in. But that's maybe not going to endear you or 1Password to them, so maybe don't do that. But you could.
Especially in the Netflix password, especially the YouTube password.
Yeah.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Right, let's wrap up today's show with our game, which goes by the name Alternative Security Questions. So let's hit it with the jingle.
It's Alternative Security Questions, the game show that answers the questions that no one asked for.
So traditional security questions are overused and not particularly secure, so here we get to suggest some alternative security questions with less predictable answers. This week, Matt and Roo will create fake answers to random questions. As the host, I will award pointless points for my favourite answer. As an added bonus, I will also try to detect if any of their answers were real or made up. So we play 3 rounds and answer 3 alternative security questions. So this week, our questions are, what's the most random fact you both know?
Oh.
The one in my head, I can't remember whether I have remembered it because it's a good fact or because it's believable but not true.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't know whether it's a real fact.
So it might not be a fact at all. It might be a myth.
That's true, yeah.
Okay. I think you'll get disqualified if that's the case.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should Google it first then.
What's the most random fact that I know?
Oh, yeah, it is a fact. Yeah.
Hit me with it, Matt.
Okay, shall I go?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
An octopus has 3 hearts.
Oh, yes, I did know this.
Yeah, I knew that.
That's a pretty good one.
Very good. That was probably like a real or not real answer on a previous episode, and you've remembered it.
Probably.
Now sent me spiraling down a animal-based random fact.
How many stomachs do cows have and that kind of thing.
Oh, geez, cows have 4 stomachs?
Oh, yeah. Oh, another good one is wombats do square
I
poos.
did know that
Did you
one.
know
That's a pretty good one. I mean, look,
That's a good one.
We have young children in the house. We have many books on poop. Okay, so that one is definitely. Did you know that while many people might have this irrational fear of the emergency door being opened in mid-flight, that it's not actually a physical feat that a human being can do, because the pressure differential is so high that it's impossible to actually open the door while the plane is in flight.
I did not know that.
That is actually quite interesting.
There you go.
The last one that I can remember, sharks existed before trees.
Sharks existed before trees. Wow. That's a good one.
I know.
I just want to keep learning random facts now.
It is a good one, isn't it? Sharks are 400 million years old, and I think trees are about 300.
Wow.
Maybe we should ask ChatGPT for some random facts.
I'm trying not to do that at the moment. I had the same thought, and I was like, nope, I'm going to stick to me.
Ruse brain.
Yep.
Okay, next up we have, if your laugh were an animal, what would it be? This is a good one for Rue, I think.
God, it's a hyena. Like, it's obvious.
It has to be a
It's a freaking hyena.
Yeah. I love it.
I'm breathy and like snorty, so I think I'm more of a horse.
I don't know. My favourite laugh from you, Matt, is your high-pitched...
No?
Also horse.
So I'm going to say a dolphin.
A dolphin.
Do I make that noise?
You do?
A dolphin. I think I can do a good dolphin impression, but it's really loud.
I'll go for it.
No.
Oh
I can't.
my. Wow.
Oh my god.
There you go.
Whoa. See? You're channeling your inner dolphin right now. That's pretty special.
Laura's going to be like, what were you doing at work today?
It was so loud. I was about 2 foot away from the microphone
What
as
other
well.
animal noises can you do? We could be here all day.
I don't know, I've just always been able to do a dolphin. Oh, yeah.
That's pretty special. Okay, 5,000 points for your dolphin impression.
Okay.
Okay, final question. What's the worst gift you've ever given someone or received?
Bought Carrie a vacuum cleaner one time.
Oh, that's a passive-aggressive gift.
Oh. Was it a robotic vacuum?
No.
No, that's worse. Worst gift. I don't know.
You've ever given or received, so could be something terrible that I've bought you.
I don't know on this one.
You get socks quite a lot.
Yeah, I do get socks a lot. I've got a box of socks underneath the bed of socks that I don't wear yet, and I just take a pair out every time another pair breaks.
You never have to wash your socks. You just wear a new pair each time.
No, I wash the socks. It's just when when your toe goes through them.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you could just do your dolphin impression again, Matt. That could class as your answer. Okay. Well, I'm not even going to bother giving points out for this round because I think, Matt, you win 5,000 points just for the dolphin impression alone. But I did appreciate Rue's random fact about the aeroplane.
Oh, there you go.
I enjoyed it.
It's great.
I appreciate that too.
You learn something every day. But, Matt, I'm going to conclude you're the winner.
That's good. Next time I'll just do the dolphin impression.
Great. I look forward to more of that.
Okay, I think that's our 149th episode wrapped.
The pentultimate. Incredible.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thank you very much.
All right.
love you. Bye.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in this week. If you're enjoying the show, we'd love it if you could subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also leave us a rating or review. It's one of the best ways to support the Random Memorable podcast. and we always enjoy reading your feedback. We're also a community-led podcast, so if you have any questions for us to answer in Ask One Password, topics, requests, or even guests that you'd like to hear from, please send us a message to podcast@onepassword.com. We read all of your comments and look forward to hearing from you. We hope you join us next episode for plenty more random moments in the world of cybersecurity.